Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Bible Study Minute. Today we'll take a look at 1 Samuel chapters 15 and 16. And in these chapters, we see Saul being rejected as king over Israel. And we see the circumstances in which this happens. And so the circumstances are basically this. Samuel comes to Saul and tells him that the Lord has told him to destroy the Amalekites for the way that they treated Israel while they were journeying in the wilderness and on their way to the promised land. So the instructions are completely wipe the Amalekites off the face of the earth. Don't take any plunder. Just completely destroy them and everything they own. So here's what Saul does instead. He goes and destroys them, and he then takes their king, King Agag, alive as a captive. But then all the livestock and everything that was worth keeping, instead of destroying it, he kept it for himself. The Lord sees all of this because the Lord is everywhere. He sees everything. He's omnipresent. And he tells this to Samuel and tells him that he's going to remove the kingship from Saul because of this offense and his just constant disregard for the word of the Lord. So Samuel shows up on the scene, and then Saul tries to play it off like, hey, I've done exactly what the Lord told me to do. And Samuel's like, nah, kid, you ain't done it. And then he tries to pass it off like, but I kept all of these because I wanted to make a sacrifice to the Lord. And then Samuel drops a truth bomb on him. And then he's like, but I was afraid of the people. Well, if you're afraid, then you're not really fit to be king if you're afraid of the people that are serving under you and that kind of thing. So what we eventually see here is that Samuel just tells Saul the truth. And he's like, you know what? I don't care about the sacrifice that you intended to make or pretended to want to make. Obeying the Lord is better than all of those things. And that's the truth that we need to keep in mind here. That anything that we think we might want to do for the Lord is better to just obey the Lord and do what he told us to do. Because that's the best thing that we can do. And as a result of all this, Samuel never speaks to Saul again and tells him that the kingdom is going to be removed from him and that the Lord is going to give it to another. And that the Lord is not going to change his mind because he's not someone who changes his mind like man does. And then we see over in chapter 16, the Lord telling him to anoint David as the next king of Israel. But that's not going to happen for some time. And we see the Lord removing his spirit from Saul, putting it on David, and then David eventually coming into the service of Saul. So what do we see here? First and foremost, the importance of obedience over and above anything else. But then we also see very clearly the importance of knowing God and knowing him personally instead of just knowing about God. Because the one thing that we see about Saul is that he never actually had a personal relationship with God. And we can see that from the way he interacts with God and Samuel in Scripture. Because it was never my God when talking to Samuel. It was always your God, the Lord, and there was never anything personal about it. Even though he had the Spirit of the Lord upon him, he never actually knew the Lord. He knew about God, but he didn't know him personally, and he never took any of the words that the Lord gave him seriously to actually obey them the way that the Lord told him to. So that's the things that I want to take away from this passage. Just the importance of actually knowing who God is, knowing him personally, and then once we do know him personally, walking in obedience to the word and the commands that he has given us. So that's all I have for today. And until next time, grace and peace.